Welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Ryan Selvey, and we are very excited to be joined by Yannis Davy. How's it going? Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan. I'm
Well,
good.
I
How
guess
are
good
you?
afternoon for you, right? It's a little bit later.
Yeah, it's just 12.
It's just 12. Okay, yeah. So technically we have hit the afternoon. So good afternoon to
Yeah.
you. Nice to have you. Welcome to the
Yeah.
stream. For anyone who is new for your work and seeing you for the first time, do you want to give a quick rundown about yourself as an artist?
Yeah, for sure. So hi everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Yannis Davy Guibinga. I am a photographer and a visual artist who mostly specializes in portraiture. And in terms of the images I like to create, they're usually um like I would say fine art images that are around visual storytelling. I'm very inspired by African identities, African cultures, and African mythology. And so, yeah, a lot of my work is very um, colorful, vibrant, strong in contrast, and yeah, that's the kind of things I like to do.
I love that. And so, what really got you, before we hop into what we're working on today, because I know today we've got a loaded plate of stuff to get through, but just what got you into photography originally? How long have you been shooting photos?
Um, since high school, I would say I was introduced to it by a good friend in high school,
Yeah.
and from there, I kind of it was just at first just kind of like taking photos with my friends during the weekends. And
Of
then
course.
when I moved to Canada, that's when I kind of started to take it a bit more seriously. And that's when I kind of started to focus a bit more on portraiture and on like kind of exploring people's stories through images.
I love
And
that. And
yeah,
now
so
I'm guessing that was probably originally with like some sort of digital camera, right? Or did you get thrown into the world of uh, film when you were in high school?
no, not even. I've never used film actually.
Oh no way. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
yeah. It's actually crazy to just think.
it's expensive. I will say that. Like even the not official, not official, but the like not artsy one is like I got a Polaroid camera for Christmas this year, and like every time I take a picture, I'm like that was $2. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
but
I do have a Polaroid. That I was taking lots of Polaroids actually in university, but outside of that,
it's not like your portraiture thing to go towards.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've always been really into like the very sleek, kind of almost glossy images,
Hmm.
and also in terms of color, I thought digital was and maybe that's just because I don't know that much about film, but I thought the result in digital was much more suited to, sorry, much more suited to what I had in mind. And
Yeah.
so that's why I kind of just focused on digital since then.
Fantastic. And I know you also like love to showcase color in your work. I'm actually
Yeah.
gonna partially pull up your screen here, but I'm also kind of going to then jump on top of that myself, and pull up your Instagram here. I'm not logged in. Don't worry, I do follow you.
Mhm.
But I just want to kind of show your most recent posts here. You have these beautiful saturated colors, and these wonderful portraits of like silhouettes, specifically here, like in front of these like oranges, which is really nice. Also, love the purple here, and also the green to blue. But you guys can find his Instagram over at YANNISDAVY. It is linked in the show description, so you can get there. To that point, we are live right now, but it's also available as a replay. So just want to say hello to our friends Sean and Jacob who are in the chat. Also, everyone over on YouTube. Good to have you guys here. If you have questions, comments, just want to be part of the conversation, please hop on in and say hello, and I will be sure to pass it along. So, without further ado, I feel like I'm stalling your work process though. So, what are we looking at today?
No worries. So today I'm going to walk you through my editing process for one of the shoots I did this summer in Europe, in Paris specifically, or in the suburbs of Paris to be very
Mm-hmm.
specific. And so I'll walk you through. I thought that shoot was interesting because there's different types of like lighting situations. It was during like a sunset, And so we'll walk through how I treat texture and skin and also color and how I kind of create my own lighting in a way. Um, that doesn't really make sense, but like
No, it does. Absolutely.
hopefully it makes sense.
I'm also really interested. Had you ever, I personally have not been, but had you ever been over to Paris before or the suburbs of Paris?
Yeah, not this place specifically. So
Okay.
so the story is for people who don't know, there's a lot of very interesting architecture in the suburbs of Paris, especially that were created around like the 60s and 70s. I think back then architects were really interested in creating new things and creating like really interesting kind of like infrastructures in buildings. And so in a lot of these places that are maybe like an hour or so away from Paris, you have these very interesting like buildings where people actually live to this day and that are just like very very interesting to photograph. And so when I was doing this, so every time I go there I try to look for more of those. And when I was doing my research I found this place called Les Douze Colonnes, which is
Oh.
in the suburb called Cergy. And so there it's just essentially just like 12 columns that are like that are facing kind of like this um I'm not sure how to describe it, but like it's just like these 12 columns that are, I guess it's a monument, and there's like right next to it there's like these stairs, and then you can see like basically the entire landscape. You see a lake not far from it. You see I think I actually have a photo of what you see from. So this is what you see
Oh,
from
okay.
there.
So that's kind of like looking out if you're standing and they're kind of like behind you
Yeah.
at this point. Okay.
Yeah. And so I when I saw that, I was really interested in specifically how it looks at night. Because at night the stairs light up and then there's like different like lasers of lights that kind of like come out of it. And
Okay.
I thought it would be very interesting and very futuristic and like it's like so I was really interested in exploring that. Unfortunately, if you've been to Europe in the summer, you know the sun comes down very, very, very late.
Hmm.
Um,
Which I
because we
miss.
were
It's getting
shooting,
too. It's going down right now, way too early. So I would love to have
yeah.
that problem. But then again, I'm not a photographer, so you're like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're like, it's a nightmare.
I mean, it was that day because we were shooting because I really well, like we started the shoot, etc. But I really was waiting for the sun to go down.
Hmm.
But then at some point we looked at our watch and it was like 11 p.m. and the sun was still like up.
That is
And
bonkers. That
so
is absolutely crazy.
yeah, and then
Uh,
we also looked at like the train schedule and the last train was leaving in like 20 minutes. So we didn't have
so then you had
time.
to book
You know,
it. Then you just had to
yeah,
go for it. Wow.
yeah. But thankfully by that point we already had like we had been shooting for like 2 hours or so.
Mhm.
And so we still were able to like have some nice stuff. And then with Photoshop, I was able to kind of not necessarily get the light I was looking for specifically, but I was able to like transform it into something cool. So yeah, we're
Great.
gonna see how I'm doing that. So I already did like a pre-selection.
And so were these
Uh,
just kind of through like manual calling, or was this kind of the one where have you played around at all with the new automatic calling
this
that's in
was
Lightroom?
manual calling, but I've played
Mhm.
with automatic calling before for sure.
Okay, yeah. I saw
It's
that
also
Sean
very
was also asking about that in chat. Uh
yeah.
Also, Mike is talking a little bit about his process with calling, just keeping
Mhm.
everything. We have Ted's Little Dream, who's Ted Chin. He's joining us and saying hello. He's a great photo compositor and love working with him. So good to see you in the chat. Reverb Mike, Manny Daniel. Great to see you guys here. If you have any questions about stuff as we're hopping into it, let us know. And we're just going to kind of hop around a little bit of Lightroom here. I'm excited to see more of this kind of interaction with these sculptures. You said there were 12
Yeah.
columns there. I wonder if that like
Yeah.
I feel like 12 normally always relates somewhere to like like the months or maybe like even
Yeah,
like
it was
the 12
supposed
hour
to,
clock
it
kind of
had to
thing?
do with the months and then also like I think the zodiac signs or something.
Oh, very
That
interesting.
was
Okay. Yeah,
the,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Because then
that
I'm
was kind
sure,
of,
I wonder how the space also interacts differently with the sun as like the year is
mhm.
going through. I don't know, neither here nor there. But
Yeah, interesting to see how it looks depending on the time of the
yeah.
year, like in the winter and stuff.
Uh,
For sure.
but so we have all of your 5-star selections. Um, and you went with, what is it? Was it 2 models?
Yeah, so it was two models and the story was basically about so it's like a like between siblings
Mm-hmm.
and one of the model, the female model is actually also the stylist and the makeup artist. She's amazing. Her name is Nala Sangare and she's really good at she's also really she's from Mali and so she's really into kind of exploring her culture also through her art. And so it was a very, very cool collaboration between the two of us.
Oh, amazing.
And yeah, so I think I'm gonna start with this one because I
Okay.
really like the lights here. And so also it was a very challenging shoot also, but
What's that?
I'll talk about as we get to the images that I thought were challenging because there was like a lot of people that day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also during so in France, in June, there's this thing called Fête de la Musique, which is like music's to translate at it's like a celebration of music throughout the country.
Yeah.
And so when we got there, like the front facing part of the monument was overtaken by a stage and like a bunch of things. And so
Oh, like
we
so like
basically
an
have
event,
to
like a full like whole
yeah,
like
I mean, it wasn't, I
additional
think
thing.
it was like the day after. So it was, so there was, there was nobody there. There was just a stage, but like
Oh,
we
that's
couldn't,
good.
that it kind of limited us in terms of angles
In
from
composition
the
and like
start.
what you could include and what you couldn't. It's also
Yeah.
uh and let me know if I'm talking too much for you here, but it looks really interesting that with the columns they are casting shadows on each other. So it seems like this
Yeah.
is creating only
Yeah.
like a sliver of light in the middle, which I'm sure also probably made things a little bit more complicated, but also makes it really a really cool shot at the same time, right?
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, the shadows I didn't mind necessarily. I think it was just the limitation in terms of angles and like movements, because in some of them you could see the stage. And so you had to be like kind of creative
yeah.
to not see that. And so yeah, so usually when I start, it's just I start with like just like a cropping to make sure like I get the image, I get the perspective I want.
Hmm.
And then I just play a bit with Lightroom. Usually it's mostly contrasts and blacks and then yeah, I think in terms of color for this there's not gonna be the color work I'm really interested in doing is really gonna be in Photoshop
Okay.
because I want to make this over there like I want to kind of change the colors of the sunset here.
Okay.
And
And just
so
for some references for our photographer friends in the chat, what camera do you shoot on? And also, do you bring any sort of like lighting equipment with you, or are you more like minimal, just camera?
I shoot with a Canon 60 for now,
Hmm.
although I'm in the process of changing to what I'm not sure yet,
Yeah.
but for this one I think I would say it depends on the shoot. For this one, I really wanted to just be the camera and the light and like the natural lights.
Yeah.
And but thankfully it was like a sunny day, so the sunset was strong that day. So I didn't really need um to bring any additional lighting.
Yeah.
So something that I think is important for me when so first of all, I'm gonna remove this.
Ooh. Okay. So how are we doing this then? What is
So
this
we're
brush tool?
using the distraction removal tool.
Cool.
And then
Oh, and it's going to just be able to use things from like generative fill to go and remove that. And so that's just the eraser tool off to the right when we're here in Lightroom. Uh,
And so here, what I'm seeing is that it's a bit orange, obviously, because it's a sunset. So usually what I do with this is that I kind of go to the color mixer tool and then I reduce orange a little bit. And
mhm,
what I find too is that it also is nice on the because I photograph a lot of black people and a lot of dark skinned black people, and when um and I think what's important sometimes is that when depending on the lights, sometimes when it's too orange, it kind of flattens their skin tone. And
mhm.
so um I like to reduce it so that he looks, for instance, his name is Case. If you compare it to this, I think something like this looks more like it's closer to his actual skin tone,
Right.
basically. And
Now, I know
so,
you mentioned that you are doing a lot of color in Photoshop as a secondary to Lightroom. Uh, Now, when you're making these adjustments and they're affecting things like skin tone, um, do you mostly focus on the skin tone in Lightroom and then everything else in Photoshop, or is it kind of like a balance between the two?
I'd say it's a balance between the two, and it depends on the image also.
Of course.
Um, but I think for this, because the orange cast was kind of everywhere, I think it's fine to use it in Lightroom. And then so I'm gonna go on Photoshop now. And so here we are. And so what I want to do here is to also something that a mistake I did during the shoot is that I did not necessarily clean my lens that day. And so there's like these little
Oh, little
spots.
spots on it. At least it's not your sensor, right? The sensor is the harder one that like then you're not able to then
No,
clean up.
it was the lens.
It's just the lens. And for your lens, are you just shooting on kind of like a standard, like generic
It's a
millimeter?
2470 millimeter.
2470. Okay, cool. So you've got some
Yeah.
flexibility there too.
Yeah. I love it because it allows me to kind of like have different types of perspectives, different types of like I can do close up and I can do like a large wide angle. And
Yeah.
so from with thanks to that lens, I don't really need
To
any
switch
other.
things out a lot. And then also when
Yeah.
you're switching out your lenses, I'm talking like I'm like a good photographer. I'm not at all. I just have had to struggle with it before. But I know that's also when a lot of times like sensors can get dirty is when you're switching out the lens in like the
Mhm.
outdoors and there's stuff going on. I'm seeing Jules here saying that he loves the way that you're playing with color and strong geometric patterns. Epic stuff. And actually, that is Jules Jacobs who's in the chat, and that is the next guest on this show for today. So you guys can
Oh
see
no.
we've got a loaded day here. And so coming up right after this, we've got some really cool underwater photography happening with Jules.
Oh,
Um,
amazing.
yeah, which I have a lot of questions for that one too. Today's just I guess my Brian tries to be a photographer day with all my questions. And then followed up with some more portraiture stuff later in the day, and then we also have designing under pressure with making decisions, and then following up that with on the spot, which is kind of like surrealist, illustrative portraiture with Magdiel Lopez later in the day. So we've got a whole loaded day for you guys. And I'm excited to see that you're here early, Jules. And I'm looking forward to talking to you in just a little bit. But I am really excited also to continue going through these beautiful like portraiture mixed with sculpture. I love the connection of like the gigantic concrete, and also the way that like you have the figures on the bottom half, and then it kind of just like goes up to the heavens,
Yeah,
which plays with like the lines too, which is really nice.
yeah, it's a nice perspective. So what I did now is I selected the background or like the sky.
Hmm.
And what I want to do is that I want to kind of create a stronger gradient for the sunset and also change its color. Because now
Okay.
the sunset is because it was like on other side of it was like more on the right, the sun. And so but I thought because I'm really into also like using sunset as like element to contrast with like the people I photograph, etc.
Okay.
And so
So
Have you
you were
been to?
particularly then peeved when you were like, the sun won't go down. I want the
Yeah,
sunset. Like, and it looks like here you've like created a mask by selecting this
yeah,
guy, and then you're just using the gradient tool to then implement a color into like a transparent fade for this color sunset.
yeah, exactly. And so now I'm trying to see which to what degree, because you don't want it to be too strong, because then
Hmm.
it kind of looks unrealistic. I think
Although I
maybe some.
wish sunsets were that strong in real life. I'm like, pump up the
Sometimes they
saturation.
are very strong, but it's
Only
just
when you're
like,
in like the parking lot of a grocery store. I know that's what everyone always says, but
yeah,
it's always the truth. You're like, why is this the most beautiful thing I've ever seen? And I like,
I know, and it's just like a random day, and you're
it's
like,
just a
man, I should
random day.
crazy.
um,
Oh, okay, I
now,
think it's
Sean, who's
maybe.
also an excellent photographer, is in the chat, also talking about dust removal um, out in the wild as well, and just being able to have to navigate that as its own thing. Um, just speaking generically, did you enjoy shooting in the suburbs and the outskirts of Paris?
Usually it's great.
Yeah, yeah.
This one there was a lot of people, so it was a bit more challenging, and I'll get to that to the with the next photo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, usually it's amazing. The architecture is amazing. What I'm so fascinated by is that people live in these incredible places, and they just like you just see
Yeah.
them go back from work, and like you
They're just
just
like,
see
this
them.
is the normal thing. This is how everyone
I'm
lives,
like,
right? And
you
you're like,
live
no.
here. That's and they don't really care. It's just like their lives, and this is just where they are, and yeah. And so, I like to also play a bit more with the curves here
Okay.
to add a bit more contrast, a bit more
And I'm
to
seeing
like
that you
show.
have just as kind of like a quick access, uh, having the adjustments as a panel above your layers off to the right. So you have your
Yes.
properties panel, then adjustments, and then layers um, right down here on the bottom as well. And so that way you can just click in and out of stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, it allows me to kind of see what's going on more easily. Um, I feel like this is fine. So now, I think now they're maybe a bit too. I want to add a bit more orange. So I really like to use the hue and saturation tool
Okay.
because I think it's very useful.
And over the
Uh,
recent years, they incorporated the cool selective color here at the top of
yeah,
the
which is actually
hue and
amazing.
saturation. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. That's definitely changed my workflow.
And actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the raw because I want the orange, and I want to
Mhm.
add a bit more orange. I think I removed too much, maybe like 6 to give them a bit more, um, just a bit more color, and then. So, and now, what I do also is I think it's important, especially because in my work I do a lot of like contrasts, like strong contrasts. But
Right.
sometimes when you do that, you tend to lose the details of like people's faces. And so I usually go back and add more. Sorry, I can't see the. Sorry, I'm gonna move that a bit. Okay.
It's all good, man. Doing
Um,
great. Also, I'm seeing Sean and Mike are talking about how, especially with recent aesthetics, the proliferation of like grain and dust in current photography. And Mike is saying that dust adds character, but Sean is saying remove dust, add grain. Which I feel like a lot comes down to aesthetics and choice, but definitely something that I
yeah,
am seeing more of in a lot of photography and like light
uh,
streaks. I see people's like wedding photographers, and it just looks like people are like spinning in circles and then taking pictures with like long
I
exposures. I'm
know
like,
I see that a
this is
lot too. I
crazy.
mean, it's a style, I guess, and I guess it kind of like it's like an in the moment type of like
Yes,
photography.
yeah, I mean,
So
there's different aspects to what a photograph represents. It can capture the moment, it can capture the person, it
mhm,
can capture the space. So, not yucking anyone's yum, and also there's some really wonderful photographers out there trying some experimental stuff. Just something that I've been noticing lately. The more I see uh, more
yeah.
photography.
Yeah, so with the brush, I go and I add a bit more light to kind of like different elements like the jewelry and like the face too. And so that way,
And
and
you're
then
doing
I
that via a curves adjustment layer, and then turning all of it black, and then using
yeah,
white
and then
to
like
then
selecting specific.
select it out with mats. Cool, great. I also really love the the treatment of the hair on the top of her head within the shadow that it
Yeah,
is then casting
it's a
onto
lot
the
for her.
pillar. Like that is so neat. Um,
Yeah.
creates a really cool
Very-
point of interest, and it's kind of towards the center of the frame too. Um,
Um, I feel like this could be a bit. Mm, no, I like this better. Okay,
I'm
so
also
I think
really
this,
enjoying how dark it gets towards the top of the frame and how it kind of mirrors
yeah,
the
like it's a nice
silhouettes and the
gradient.
land on the bottom.
Yeah, so I think for this one, for this image, I would say I don't think I would have done anything else.
Looks
And
awesome.
yeah, so we're
Well
good
done.
with that. Thank you. So now, I really want to do this one. So, or like one of these, maybe another one. No, I think this one is good. So, so I was saying earlier, this was a very challenging shoot because there was a lot of people
Yeah.
like that would just come and they would just sit down and like just
Use
watch
the
the sunset.
space and just, yeah,
So
experience.
it was kind of like complicated to shoot around them. But then I was like, it's fine. There's Photoshop.
Yeah.
So
Right.
so what I really like with the distraction removal tool is that you can just make them disappear very easily.
Yeah. You can be
Um,
way more willy nilly with kind of just like moving things around. So you went over to the eraser tool, which is the remove tool, and then you were able to scroll down to distraction removal, and you selected people, and
yeah.
now it's giving us this overlay of all the different selections of people
And
that
then
you
I remove
can
the
choose.
the people I want to keep.
Yeah, it was a cute
And
little
then
animation when you click it and then you press delete for it, and then it does the little clouds to be like, no, you want to keep
yeah.
this person, which I appreciate. A small motion graphic when it is. Um, and then this is just gonna do
And
some processing,
now
and
they're
wow, I
gone.
mean, look at that. That's
It's
incredible. It just
amazing.
automatically
Very easy. Very
gets it.
back in the day you would have to go through every single one with like the clone tool or something,
Yeah,
but
clone tool, stamp tool, also part of it. I know like maybe like a decade ago, you would one solution was like you would go to these places and then you would have to just take like 20 pictures on a tripod and then you could do some like machine system averaging, but then you also had to struggle with lighting and if the camera moved at
yeah,
all and all this different
and
stuff.
making sure everything is kind of like
Yeah. Uh, so that's cool. So what did you just do there? You used a kind of a dust removal tool within Lightroom this
yeah,
time?
because I feel like there's like a few there was like a few just like a few things we could see from the lens.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. So now, I mean, I guess we can just go do all of this in Photoshop now.
I
Just
also
to
love
see.
that with the second model there, you decided to have him put on a hat to increase his
Yeah,
silhouette.
that was that was Nala's
Yeah,
doing. It's yeah, she has like so many cool things and so many like cool like so yes, that was like all her creativity to be honest. But it was very cool because in terms of silhouette, it's very strong.
very
And so
strong. Yeah.
so I'm trying to make it like
And also noticing
just
last time you used like the crop tool to then bring it in, whereas this one you're using the confinements of the bounds of the canvas to create your cropping
yeah,
here.
yeah. I use both usually. Like it really
Mhm.
depends on.
I mean,
on
that's a
like
beautiful thing about so much of the the Adobe Suite in its entirety too is like
mhm,
you can do the same thing
the
in like
options.
6 different ways.
Yeah.
It's whatever works best for your workflow or for the moment. Um, Also, hello
Um,
to Miss Melanie. Great to see you. How's Los Angeles this morning? Always nice to see you in the chat. Right now we're going through some um, shots from Paris, which is exciting. And we are joined by Yannis Davy, and he does some really beautiful portraiture work. He's Canadian based, but these are over in kind of the outskirts of Paris, which to my trained ear, mind you, I only speak English, but it sounds like your French is pretty good. And I was like, how is that a thing? And I was like, oh, because he's in Canada. That makes
yeah, well,
sense.
I'm actually French.
Oh,
Like
you're
I was
actually
born,
French too. Okay, cool.
I just happened to live in Canada because I moved here for university and then I never left.
Okay.
But but yeah, but I was born in France. I grew up in Gabon,
Oh,
and
cool.
so which
So
is
then
like
you had no problem
all
getting around then. You were just like able to
yeah,
just rattle
yeah.
off
French is
to
the first
anything.
language
Oh,
yeah, I
that's
learned
very cool.
English in like high school, towards the end of high school,
No way, really? Oh, wow. Okay. That's very
watching
impressive.
a lot of shows and then
Oh,
lots of
yeah.
YouTube
Wait, what was
stuff.
your go-to show to like learn English?
Back then it was like Vampire Diaries and like
Vampire
that.
Diaries? Yeah.
Yeah. The originals, like that kind of like CW type of
Yeah,
shows. That
hilarious
was
to think of like what if you like came out of there with like I don't know like a CW accent, you know what I mean? Like suddenly you sound like a suddenly you sound like a 14-year-old girl like which you don't. Let me be entirely clear. I'm just saying that'd be a very funny story if that was the
Yeah.
case. I did hear that is a really
So
great way to learn a language though, is to
yeah, I
watch
mean,
stuff that you've already seen
yeah.
or are
And like
interested
a
in.
lot of YouTubers were like reviewing like artists and like just like random things. And that's how, I mean, we learned English in school too, but like it wasn't necessarily conversational.
Yeah.
And
It's like
so
talking
yeah.
about your house. You're like, okay, what am I going to
Yeah.
use? You know, I have two brothers. I live in this house. Um, which, by the
So
way, you just
now,
did something really cool with that gradient fill as I was distracting you with language discussion.
oh yeah, correct. So basically what I really like to play with great so because um obviously I wanted to shoot at night but we didn't get to do it. So I was like, what can I do to kind of like bring the because I mean this is nice, but like I really wanted to have maybe some color. I always try to find ways to have colors.
Hmm.
And so I like to play with like gradients and kind of change this. I'm not sure how this is called though. Like this thing here.
Oh, the
Like
different
the
like blend modes.
okay, yeah, blend modes.
Yeah,
So I like to play with that too because it gives you different options and how like the color
and I
blends with the image.
love it. Completely changes the mood
Usually
for so many of these.
I'm into it's usually this section like darken, multiply. Multiply is good depending on depending on the image. It's like either multiply or linear burn. I
Hmm.
feel like multiply. I feel like for this one, linear burn is maybe better, but then it's like it's never there's never like a one thing that fits everything. It
Yeah,
really depends on the image, and it really depends on like what you want to do with the image. And so now it's just a matter of like exploring, honestly.
yeah. I think
Exploring.
that's no matter how professional people get with their editing, their compositing. I feel like it still just goes always back to you can learn the modes and you can learn like what they do, but at the end of the day, it's always going to be just like cycle through them and see which ones
Yeah.
are different.
See the one that you think fits well with the image you want. So I think this is too red. I'm looking for something that's a bit more like realistic. It like that looks realistically like a sunset.
Yeah. And
Uh,
did you create these gradients or these ones you download or these kind of ones that are already baked into the system?
no, these ones I downloaded, but I don't really remember from where, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, not need to call that out or anything like that. I mean, it was like things that you were like selling yourself. I was just more so wondering if someone was to create them.
But you can create
themselves or
them.
something. Yeah.
You can, um, yeah,
That's
it's
giving me
actually,
Avatar energy right there, by the way. I feel like Airbender.
yeah.
um,
Uh, that's
also,
not.
Jacob Paris is in the chat saying that his wife's family learned English from Seinfeld, and I was like, oh no, do they sound like Kramer? Because that would be really bad.
And I learned,
um,
I was watching a lot of like The Office too,
oh,
and like I'm still watching The Office actually. It's kind of like the show I put on when there's
as your
nothing
comfort
else.
show. I feel like a lot of people
Kind of
have
like a
that as their
background.
comfort show.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was a lot of that. I mean, it's kind of like the best way to learn, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then also my uncle lives in San Diego, so and then sometimes I would go there
Hmm.
and then like his entire family speaks English, like he's American.
Yeah.
And so like he would go to work and I would just have to like learn how to speak English basically.
Yeah, like if I want to be able to communicate with everybody, I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to just
like there is no choice.
stiff arm this. This is
Um,
so cool of how many different like collections of gradients you have, and just with each one, um, like just seeing how like every single one changes it so
how it
much.
changes the image, but now I need to find one quickly though, because maybe I can do this and then change the colors.
All right, and so I'm looking up because I know we landed on linear burn as the blend mode here when you're messing through the different blend modes. You said that you like the ones that tend to darken with that category. It says
Yeah.
that this is what it does from a technical sense. It takes the brightness value of the base layer, it subtracts the brightness of the blend layer, and then increases contrast as it darkens. Um, so it's basically subtracting brightness values from whatever you're
Mhm.
putting on top of it, which is really interesting. Don't test me on that later. I'm literally reading that from a website right now, so I'm no expert, I promise.
Uh,
And then yeah, this in this case too, you're using it as the linear gradient tool. You can also always switch up, and I'm not suggesting you do, but just for people watching at home, you can also switch up if you wanted it to be like more of a radial gradient, or maybe even something where you could have multiple points from different things. But since we're going off of the idea of a sunset, it probably makes the most sense to do this linear gradient. And just as a check on time too, we're about 40 minutes in. I feel like I still have so many
no, that's
questions,
pretty
and we've gone through
good.
so much already. But we're here for
Um,
about
the issue with
another.
me is I'm very indecisive. So like I can sometimes I spend 2 hours just deciding which one I like.
Hmm.
Because there's so many like this could work.
Yeah,
Actually, kind of works.
it feels hot. It feels
Yeah, it's very
definitely like
warm.
more summer focused.
Yeah,
And I also like how it's showing up in the edges of
color.
the columns, specifically like in the center there. The really cool highlights there.
Yeah, I think I like that actually. But also the thing with that too is that it really depends on like how I'm feeling that day and like
Of course,
how like so I can like it could
all
be
part of
this.
being an artist.
Yeah, no, this is too much. I
It's
think I'd
also
like
always funny. I had a class in college where halfway through the semester they had us bring in all the work that we had done up to that point and hang it on the wall in clusters. And it was really revealing for everyone to always be like, oh, one, this is like the state of my mental health this semester. And two, to find different things that maybe you're like consistently doing that you're not necessarily realizing that you're consistently doing. Whether
Mhm.
that is a reflection of your current mental state or conditions in the world that are impacting your art or just the way that you're impacting art. And I had noticed in my own work that I was really focusing on like two subjects all the time. And then so then for the rest of the semester, I had to like switch it up and just keep that in mind.
What were the
Um,
subjects?
but it was just like one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, subconsciously you're making a lot of choices and you're making a lot of proclamations of things without realizing it, and you might be doing it on repeat and not even noticing it. Um,
Hmm.
All to say that though, when we look at your Instagram, I do not get that. It looks like you have such a wide breadth of work, which is really cool. And I love being able to see how you can approach portraitures in so many different ways. Um,
Yeah, I'd really like to play with different like lighting, different like type of colors and stuff. I also do a lot of compositing and collage like collages
hmm
and which I hope I can get into in like another session.
Yeah,
And
we'd love to see that.
and yeah, so I think for this image, honestly, like the gradient usually because of linear burn is so contrasted, it usually like does the work. Whereas like for instance, if it was multiply, it's less strong, but then usually I would go back and do like a curve layer to like add the contrast
Yeah.
to make something like this, you
And then
know.
kind of more like choice selection as to where you are making minor adjustments.
But I think for this image, this is kind of like I'm pretty satisfied with this. But then I've
Absolutely.
done like a similar image of like the columns before, and like the sunset was different because
Yes, your most recent one on Instagram, you have
yeah,
it's you actually ended up going with like a blue to orange. I know they're holding hands, so it's not the exact same photo, but
yeah,
similar in that sense is really cool to see
it really
because it's a
depends
totally
on
different feel, right? Like
yeah,
it
like
completely changes the mood.
it depends on like whatever you're feeling in that moment.
And then also just a quick conversation real quick about like looking at all of these again, like in a cluster here. I like how we were talking about how your lens gives you the capability to do things up close or do like out wide.
Mhm.
I love how you have some shots that are kind of shot down looking up. You have ones where you're like back and you
Yeah.
kind of get the whole columns in. And then you even have ones where you're cropped in here, like on the bottom left, where a lot of them kind of go off the screen, but you still have an idea of other ones that are still in frame, um,
hmm
which just
Yeah,
makes
I thought it was
everything feel way
interesting
bigger.
yeah, like it was interesting to play with the perspective, like
Wow, cool.
the columns and especially in these shots. But like, look, you can see like a bit of the stage
Oh, you're
thing.
right. Wow. So it did have kind of like a nasty, like,
So it
I
was
don't
crazy.
know,
So like all of that, so like the front section of the columns, we really
really couldn't
couldn't
shoot.
use.
But the way that you shot it and the angles that you had, I would have no idea. Like, you have completely instructed the viewer's eye and perception of the
Mhm.
space,
Like
which
even
is
in
great
this one, this line here is like the line from the shadow of the little like
of the fence.
thing of the fence. Yeah.
But the thing that's cool about that line of that shadow, which I'm not sure was intentional or not, is like how it is then kind of creating this cool intersection of the line down the face.
hmm
Um, and then also that lines up like a lot with also the lines of the columns behind as well. So there's some cool stuff going on there.
Yeah. I'm not sure what to edit next.
Yeah, we've got about like 10 minutes left or so. Any of these are really cool to check out.
Yeah, maybe let's do this one and then see. Thankfully he has like really good. So usually for this, hold on, for some reason I can't. My enter is not working anymore.
There we go.
Um, I mean, for this one, there's not a lot to do because the lighting is pretty good.
hmm
Uh, he has thankfully really good skin already, so like I would just maybe remove like a few of these
Yeah.
and
Especially
then
like the
like
shine, like especially like kind of both on the lips, and then also kind of on the cheeks as they show that value change, which is really nice. It's really admirable. I wish that if my face was shot up that close, I would not have such smooth skin. So um, it just adds a lot of cool value and change in color and visual interest. There's also lots of cool texture here too, like between the straw of the hat too, and then the fabrics that have like tie dye in them. I think that there's a lot to focus on each part of the image, and you can like find new details about whatever space that you're kind of focusing.
maybe I want to remove like the bit of like stubble he has here.
And it's also one of those things too. It's like with selective, like fine tuning, being sure to still keep that realism there, where the idea is like you don't want someone to feel like a Barbie,
Hmm.
or like someone who like is
Like it's
just too
like a fine
airbrushed.
line between.
Yeah. And this is looking great. I'm not suggesting that we have gotten that far at all. I just know that it's something that you probably have to balance a lot when retouching.
So here, because there's not a lot of color, I would just maybe add a bit more of the green
Mm-hmm. Make that
and
tie
then
dye pop. I guess it's not tie dye. That's probably the wrong term for it, but
yeah,
just
but I
the
see what you.
cool
I
pattern.
don't know the term either, to be honest.
Yeah.
Now what I would do is I would go to Photoshop. There's something else I want to remove that too.
Oh wow, you could see his eye. I didn't realize you could see his eye. That was
Yeah.
like a
So
little
what I'm
surprise, a little jump scare.
yeah, so usually in those situations I try to um like add like show as much eye as possible,
Mm-hmm.
but like just so that we can see it. So like what I do is I use a curve layer and try to like add more light and then just do this.
Yeah, just kind of crank it, but then it also is just isolated in that sense.
Yeah, so that way you and then maybe here um either see about because there's like this blue cast over here.
Yeah,
See how
they kind of
about like
transition from white to blue.
removing it or
And to your point earlier, from what you were talking about with bringing like oranges and yellows down and stuff, it is really interesting that like so much of his composition, from his skin tone to his hat to his clothes, is all very warm yellows, browns, oranges, and even the greens. So having that contrast with the blue is a cool relationship in the shot.
yeah. Yeah, so I think this image is kind of like maybe I would remove like a bit of these um
Like imperfections in the thing. Yeah, you said that you think that the columns were built like sometime in the 60s or 70s.
I'm not sure actually, but
You're not
like
sure. Okay,
usually the architecture, like the interesting architecture in the suburbs of Paris,
mm-hmm.
usually it was that time period. And so I'm guessing it was probably then or maybe like the 80s or something.
Yeah, and
Um
did it feel like the
like
structural
maybe it was for the
integrity
whole
of the columns still felt pretty strong?
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
it's like yeah, I think I'll do one of these.
Because there is definitely that interesting
Um,
kind of boom in the 70s and the 80s of a focus on like
yeah,
brutalism.
especially like in Paris, there was a lot of like brutalist
Mm-hmm.
kind of like architecture and like just like a lot of these architects were like interested in creating new like new and like interesting um like buildings and infrastructures.
Right.
So
And it's just
so yeah.
interesting because like all of that, a lot of times they were really fascinated at the time with concrete and steel, and being able to do like reinforced concrete. And then now, mind you, and this makes us seem older, but 80s was what, 40 years ago, uh,
Mhm.
and 30 to 40 years ago. And the structural integrity of some of these spaces like are now requiring some upkeep or some
Yeah.
rehabilitation, just because it's like concrete kind of is known to deteriorate over time. Uh, and interesting to see what's surviving,
There's
what's
this
getting knocked
other
down.
place.
Yeah.
There's this other place I shot, I think, but it was like a bit earlier. I think it was like in 2019 called Picasso's Wheel. And it's like
Hmm.
the whole building is basically like it's in the shape of like a wheel. And you
Yeah.
see people, and it's like, it's so insane that people still live there. And like, it's like, but it looks incredible. But people, because it's just like where they live, they don't really care about like like they don't really I mean I guess they don't really realize. I mean maybe they do, but it's just like their life. So they're
Yeah.
like whatever. So So yeah, but
Oh,
it's
I
so
think.
interesting. There's so
Let me see if I
many.
found it. I think I see it. Let me just want to make sure that it is what we're talking about before we pull it up. Is it this bad boy?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like,
It's
yeah, and they
so
probably just like live there. They probably just
yeah,
it's just
and it's
like
like it's still like a functioning building where people live,
and all the
and
circular windows within the circular structure. And then it's got like all these like that's crazy. That's nuts. It's in France. I need to go to France. Let's
it's good.
get let's stream from France. You and I will meet over there and we'll expense it. That way we can fly to France. And you'll have to do all the translating for me. You'll be my guide.
I'm done.
um
So now I want to maybe try what I did with the first image of adding like a bit of a sunset color to this.
cool. And you're just using the selection brush tool here.
Yeah.
Cool. Just like
Uh,
quickly highlighting things, and it's doing a lot of the work for you, so that you don't have to go in there to the nitty gritty, which we love to see.
yeah, it's so easy now. I also really love the subject tool too, because it's like it gets it right more often than it gets it wrong.
Right.
And when it does, it's like it's usually very minimal. Like you just have to maybe like
Like minor
move.
adjustments.
Yeah. But I think for this, honestly, I feel like it looks nice without, but like just for the purpose of today,
Yeah,
for the
it's all about experimentation. We don't have to commit to anything, and
or
also
maybe
the
like
beauty of like these non-destructive mats, you can always come back and always change it, which is cool.
maybe make it more of a yellow.
Also glad to see that you, when you're in the color picker, you stay in the same hue color space as I do. Because I see other people like using like wheels and stuff, and I am always just still so much like into the little hue slider and then messing around with colors that
Yeah.
I've tried to change it at this point and I can't. I'm like, this is just where I'm at.
Yeah, no, it's just like more straightforward, I think, for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the yellow works better because it kind of goes with the color of the sun here.
yeah, the
Oh,
highlights.
and then adding a bit more contrast, and then do we see the high? A little bit.
Yeah, just ever so slightly. Oh wow, you're right. Yeah, it's right there. That's so
Yeah.
crazy.
Uh, but I also want to like,
Oh, that's sick. That's really cool. And it's nice that you're able to use the same layer of curves here to then be able to call out
yeah,
both the eye and this ring.
and then maybe this too,
And
just to
once
add
again,
like,
big props to the silhouette here. Like the sleeve is doing so much cool stuff here. Um, and then also the hat is just like it's just far enough away from the structure of his shoulders that then, it then kind of like blooms back out and makes a really cool silhouette.
I wish we could have seen a bit more of the eye, but I think it's okay. Yeah, I think the just seeing like the ring,
Mm-hmm.
nice,
I feel
a
like
nice
this could be
touch.
a movie poster in a really like artsy movie poster, not like a
Yeah.
sterile one. That was a compliment, not a dig.
Oh no, I would love to do a movie poster for sure. Um, I think no, I actually don't need the curves. I think this maybe what I would do is go to the raw and like reduce the highlights because I think the white was too white over here.
And it's kind of peaking too much.
Yeah, and maybe reduce the white here too. And then now I can go back and add a bit more. But no, let
Great.
me see.
Well, sadly, we are at just about time here. So I just want to do a quick
Yeah, I
review
think
of
that was
kind of like
it.
everything we looked at. Do you mind if we just cycle through some of the pictures that we edited today?
Yeah, so we started with this one.
Beautiful.
And so we got to see how how to play a little bit with the lights in contrast in relationship with the color of the skin, how
Hmm.
to find the right balance between not making it too flat and desaturated, but also not making it too orange because then you
Right.
lose the actual color of their skin tone. Then we saw how to use like gradient field to kind of create this um like rosy like sunset. And then yeah, so and then like just playing a bit with like contrast and like curves to add like a just to for the colors to punch a bit more, which I do a lot and which I'm really into.
Yeah.
And now here, we saw how to use like the linear burn gradient fill to kind of like just create like just change the mood of the image drastically and like to kind of like create another lighting situation for the image, and which also I think changes the story a bit too. Like it
Of
kind of
course.
influences the storytelling visually. And so and for this, I mean the contrasts were like minimal. It was mostly on the columns to make sure they kind of like blend with the rest.
Yeah, but some
Uh
of those highlights really came through. It was really cool.
yeah, like especially like this part is very nice.
Yeah.
Um and then this one, well, there was this one first, like just minor adjustments. The eye,
Got that
it was,
eye. We got the eye back.
and then like the a bit of like the skin tone and stuff. And then this one was also how to use like the gradient. I'm a very big fan of gradient. I'm not sure if I don't know if you got that.
Yeah, no,
And
I love it. I think it reads really well. Um,
then like just playing with contrasts and like and colors to make like an harmonious image. I think
great.
this is nice, but I feel like if you add the gradient, it makes it like a bit more interesting to me. And also it kind of like the yellow here reflects on the color of the sunset that
Of
we
the
see on,
columns.
and
Great.
so yeah.
Well, yeah, and like I said, unfortunately, I think we are at time, but it was really wonderful talking to you. It was really great going through all your work. You guys can find his Instagram on the show description and the replay. Really looking forward to checking out more stuff. And I would love to talk to you again real soon. And thank you so much for walking us through your process, man.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so great. Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. All right, guys, make sure you stick around. I gotta hop over into the next stream, and then bring Jules in. But we will be back in like, give me like a minute, and I have to switch it over for him too, and then we'll be right back. So, if you guys are watching live, stick around. If you're watching the replay, watch the next one too. It'll be good. Thank you again, and we'll see you guys real soon.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.